Hello friends, in this video, we'll look at the biblical book of Job from the Old Testament, from chapter 3 verses 20 to 26. In my last video on Job, I explained from Job chapter 3 verses 11 through 19, how Job transitions from cursing to lamentful questioning. Now we look at Job chapter 3 verses 20 to 26, in which Job continues with his lamentful questioning, but probes deeper, asking why life is given to those who don't want it. Let me read from the passage. Why is light given to him who is in misery, and life to the bitter in soul, who long for death, but it comes not, and dig more for it than for hidden treasures, who rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they find the grave? Why is light given to a man whose way is hidden, whom God has hedged in? For my sighing comes instead of my breath, and my groanings are poured out like water. For the thing that I fear comes upon me, and what I dread befalls me. I am not at ease, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, but trouble comes. Let's look at the passage verse by verse and see how this passage applies to our lives as Christians. Verse 20 says, why is light given to him who is in misery, and life to the bitter in soul? Light, light represents life, a parallel to life, and Job is asking why God prolongs the life of someone in misery, someone who is really bitter in soul. Verses 21 to 22 state, who long for death, but it comes not, and dig for it more than for hidden treasures, who rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they find the grave. A person who is after hidden treasures, when he or she digs for the treasures and finds them, they have found something really priceless. And similar to searching for hidden treasures, Job is also searching for or longing after death, but more so than hidden treasures, but Job could not find death. If death could come to Job, or if he could find death, if he could find the grave, that would fill him with immense joy and he would be really glad. Verse 23 says, why is light given to a man whose way is hidden, whom God has hedged in? Job is here asking, why is light given to someone if the path before that person is hidden? Just think about this for a second. You are given light, and light is supposed to illuminate your path. Yet Job says, why is light given if the way or the path before him is hidden? It doesn't make sense. Or why is life given to someone when there is no way out, no hope of deliverance for that person? Why is light given, or why is life given, if God has hedged in the person or restricted the person in such a way that the person cannot see the light, which means he cannot see where to go, or he doesn't know a way out or a deliverance from his life situation or circumstance? Verse 24 states, for my sighing comes instead of my breath, and my groanings are poured out like water. Because of Job's weariness, exhaustion, fatigue from extreme mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual sufferings, his sighing came more easily than his appetite for bread, for food. His groanings flowed out like water. Verses 25 to 26 say, for the thing that I fear comes upon me, and what I dread befalls me. I am not at ease, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, but trouble comes. Job is here referring to a particular thing. The thing that he feared, the thing that he dreaded, comes upon him, befalls him. My guess is that the thing that he's referring to here in verses 25 to 26 is losing everything that God had given him, all the blessings that God had bestowed upon Job. If all of them were taken away, I think all of them were taken away, and I think that's what Job is getting at. I think when things were going really well for Job in his life, Job perhaps feared or dreaded that something really tragic or disastrous could befall him that could wipe out everything that he held dear. And this fear or this dread of something really tragic happening to him became a reality for him, although Job may not have anticipated or imagined the degree or extent of the tragedies that would befall him. Job ends with verse 26, in which he says, I'm not at ease, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, but trouble comes. So, thus far, we get the picture here that for Job, his life, his living at present, feels like a curse because of all the sufferings that he's enduring, whereas death, which he longs for, feels like a gift because he will be free from all the sufferings. So, from Job chapter 3, verses 20 to 26, there are at least 3 points of application for us in the Christian life. 3 points of application. First, there is a place for honest, genuine lamentation in the Bible, in the Christian life, a place for expressing profound grief, sorrow over one's loss, one's suffering. We see all throughout the Bible people expressing lamentation. The point is that we don't have to put on a false, fake, I'm okay, I'm stoic, I'm emotionless, everything is fine kind of a face or front. There is a genuine place to acknowledge the reality of intense pain, intense suffering, to bring our raw, our hard, our pointed, why this, why that questions before God, because God can take it all. He can handle it all. Now, whether we get the answers to our why questions is another matter, but we can bring those questions to God. We can express our grief, pain, sorrow before God through our words and our actions and bring them before God. Bring them to God because it is God alone who knows us best and He alone can comfort us in a way that nobody else can. Second, second application, we are called to trust God even when we do not fully understand the sufferings in our lives. Like Job, who can't see his path or a way out because God has hedged him in, God has hidden Job's path. Similarly, there may be times in our lives when we may not see a way out of our difficult times or times of suffering, but through it all, we are called to trust God and lean on His infinite understanding, not on our finite, limited understanding. As Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him and He will make straight your paths. As we rely on God's understanding and wisdom, how God will make our paths straight when we can't see the path before us is up to God to determine, to decide. Third, third application. Feeling despair, feeling hopeless, feeling deeply discouraged doesn't mean that you have lost your faith in God or that your faith is defective. Many believers think that if they become really discouraged in their Christian life, maybe it's because they've lost their faith or that their faith is defective. That's not always true. In fact, the Apostle Paul, whom all Christians look up to and consider a giant in the faith, said this in 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verses 8 through 9. He said this, "For we do not want you to become unaware, brothers, of the affliction we experienced in Asia, for we were so utterly burdened beyond our strength that we despaired of life itself. Indeed, we felt that we had received the sentence of death, but that was to make us rely not on ourselves but on God who raises the dead." We can indeed become or feel really discouraged and hopeless in the Christian life, but that doesn't always mean that we have lost our faith in God or that our faith in God is defective. Job still had faith in God. Paul still had faith in God. Even in the lowest or darkest of times in the Christian life, God is still with us, even if we don't feel that way. And the lowest or the darkest of times in the Christian life is to deepen our faith in God, to draw us closer to God, to make us rely not on ourselves, but on God.